I found another woman's earring in my billionaire husband's bed, and it wasn't the affair that destroyed me. Elena Holloway married Adrian Ashford for one reason only: survival. A contract marriage traded for her dying father's medical bills. No love, no future, just money and lies wrapped in wedding vows. But somewhere between the cold mornings and quiet piano nights, she fell for the broken man hiding behind billions. Now, staring at proof of his betrayal, Elena faces an impossible choice. Trust the man who saved her, or save herself before it's too late. Stay until the end. Hit like. Comment your city so I can see how far this story travels. The hospital smell never left Elena's clothes anymore. Antiseptic, bleach, that weird industrial lemon scent they pumped through the ventilation system to cover up what hospitals really smelled like: fear and dying and the slow erosion of hope. Elena Holloway sat in the plastic chair outside room 407, her purse balanced on her knees, hands folded so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Through the narrow window in the door, she could see her father sleeping. His face looked gray against the thin pillows. 72 hours ago, he'd been laughing at some dumb joke she'd told him over leftover Chinese takeout in their Dorchester apartment. Now tubes ran from his arms and monitors beeped rhythms she didn't understand but knew weren't good. "Miss Holloway?" She looked up. Dr. Patel stood there with a tablet in his hands and an expression she'd seen too many times in the past month. The expression that meant bad news wrapped in medical jargon so you won't scream in the hallway. "Yeah." Her voice came out hoarse. She cleared her throat. "Yeah, I'm here. Can we talk in the consultation room?" Elena followed him down the corridor into a windowless box with motivational posters nobody ever read. "Hang in there." A kitten dangling from a tree branch. She wanted to rip it off the wall. Dr. Patel sat down across from her and didn't waste time with pleasantries. She appreciated that about him. No bullshit. "Your father's lymphoma is aggressive," he said. "We knew that, but the latest scans show it's spreading faster than we anticipated. We need to start the treatment protocol immediately if we want any chance of—" "How much?" Elena interrupted. Dr. Patel blinked. "I'm sorry?" "The treatment. How much does it cost?" He hesitated. That hesitation told her everything. "With your father's insurance situation, we're looking at somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 over the next 6 months. That's including Elena stopped hearing them. 200,000, 300,000, numbers so far beyond her reality, they didn't even register as real. She made $38,000 a year teaching music to middle schoolers who didn't give a damn about Mozart. Her apartment cost $1,400 a month, and that was considered a steal in Boston. She had $4,000 in her savings account and $1,700 on a credit card she was already drowning under. "Miss Holloway?" She focused on Dr. Patel's face. He looked genuinely sorry. That made it worse. "Is there family?" he asked carefully. "Anyone who might be able to help?" "Family." The word tasted bitter. "No," Elena said. "No family." That was a lie. Technically, she had family. Her mother's side, the Vances, old money Boston bloodline types who lived in Beacon Hill and summered on the Cape. But they disowned her mother 28 years ago for the crime of falling in love with a jazz pianist from Southie. Elena had never met them, never wanted to. But now? Now her father was dying and she had 72 hours to figure out how to pull $300,000 out of thin air. Dr. Patel was still talking. Something about payment plans and financial assistance and charity programs. Elena nodded at the right moments, but her brain was already somewhere else, somewhere dark and desperate. "Thank you," she said, standing abruptly. "I need to go. Miss Holloway, we really need to—" "I'll figure it out." She walked out before he could say anything else. The Vance estate sat behind iron gates on a tree-lined street where even the sidewalks looked expensive. Elena stood outside the entrance for 10 minutes before she finally pressed the intercom button. A woman's voice crackled through. "Yes? Hi. My name is Elena Holloway. I'm Margaret Holloway's daughter. Margaret Vance? I need to speak to someone in the family. It's important." Silence. Then, "One moment." Elena waited. The October wind cut through her jacket, a threadbare thing she'd owned since college. She wrapped her arms around herself and stared at the mansion beyond the gates. 3 stories of brick and ivy and generational wealth. The kind of house where people had libraries and wine cellars and probably didn't even know how much a gallon of milk cost. The intercom crackled again. Someone will meet you at the gate. The lock buzzed. Elena pushed through and walked up the stone pathway, her sneakers squeaking against the perfectly maintained driveway. A man in his 60s opened the front door before she could knock. He wore a gray suit and an expression of carefully controlled distaste. "Miss Holloway?" Not a question. "I'm Harlan Vance, your mother's brother." Elena's uncle. She'd seen pictures of him exactly once, an old newspaper clipping her mom had kept in a shoebox. He looked older now, harder. "Thank you for seeing me," Elena said. He didn't invite her inside. They stood in the doorway like she was selling magazine subscriptions. "What do you want?" Harlan asked bluntly. No pretense, no, "How have you been?" or "I'm sorry about your mother." Just business. Fine. Elena could do business. "My father is sick," she said. "Lymphoma, stage 3. He needs treatment and I can't afford it. I'm asking for help." "How much?" 300,000, maybe less if we... "No." The word hit her like a slap. "I haven't even..." "I don't care," Harlan said. "Your mother made her choices. You're the consequence of those choices. That's not my problem." Rage flared hot in Elena's chest. "He's dying. People die every day. You're a real piece of shit. You know that." Harlan's expression didn't change. "If that's all, Miss Holloway..." Wait." A woman's voice came from inside the house. Footsteps echoed across marble floors. A woman in her 30s appeared behind Harlan, blonde and polished and wearing a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than Elena's rent. "Harlan, don't be rude. Let her in." Harlan sighed. "Vivian, let her in." He stepped aside. Elena walked into a foyer that looked like something out of a museum. Chandelier overhead, oil paintings on the walls, a staircase that curved upward like something from a movie. Vivian smiled at her. The smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'm Vivian Vance," she said. "Harlan's daughter. Your cousin, I suppose. Come, let's talk in the sitting room." Elena followed her through hallways lined with family portraits, generations of Vances staring down with expressions of smug superiority. They entered a room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking a garden that probably required a full-time staff. "Sit," Vivian said, gesturing to a velvet armchair. Elena sat. Harlan stood by the fireplace, arms crossed. "So," Vivian said, settling onto the sofa across from her, "your father is sick." "Yes." "And you need money." "Yes." $300,000. "Yes." Vivian tilted her head, studying Elena like she was something mildly interesting under a microscope. "What are you willing to do for it?" The question made Elena's skin crawl. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Vivian said slowly, "that nothing in this world is free, especially not $300,000. So I'm asking, what are you willing to give in exchange?" Elena's mouth went dry. "I don't..." "There's a man," Harlan interrupted. "A business associate. He needs a wife." Elena stared at him. "Excuse me?" "Adrian Ashford," Vivian said, leaning forward. "You've probably heard of him. Tech billionaire. Very private, very powerful, very eligible." "I don't understand what this has to do with..." "He needs a wife for business reasons," Harlan said flatly. "Optics, respectability. He has a young daughter, and some board members are concerned about his personal life affecting company stability. He needs someone presentable, someone who can play the role convincingly." Elena's heart was pounding now. "You want me to marry a stranger?" "Not a stranger," Vivian said. "A very wealthy man who can solve your financial problems overnight." "In exchange for what?" "In exchange for being his wife," Harlan said. "Publicly. Legally. You'd live in his house, attend events, act like the relationship is real, for at least a year, maybe 2. That's insane. That's business." Elena stood up. "I'm not... This is crazy. I came here asking for help with my father's medical bills, not to sell myself into some weird contract marriage with a billionaire I've never met." "Then your father dies," Vivian said simply. The words hung in the air like poison. Elena turned to stare at her. Vivian's expression remained perfectly calm. "That's the reality, isn't it?" Vivian continued.
You have no money, no family who will help you, except us, and we're offering you a way out. A strange way, yes, but a way nonetheless. Why? Elena demanded. Why would you do this? You don't even know me. You didn't care about my mother. Why offer this now? Harlan and Vivian exchanged a glance.
Adrian Ashford owes me a favor, Harlan said finally. A significant favor. He asked me to find him someone suitable, someone outside his usual social circle, someone who wouldn't have ulterior motives regarding his wealth or connections because they'd be compensated fairly up front. He paused. You need money desperately. He needs a wife quickly. It's a practical arrangement. There are thousands of women in Boston who would— He doesn't want someone from his world, Vivian interrupted. He wants someone unknown, someone controllable. The word controllable made Elena feel sick. You'd have autonomy, Vivian added quickly, reading her expression. You'd keep your job, your own bank account, your life. You'd just also be Mrs. Adrian Ashford when necessary. Elena's head was spinning. This is insane. This is survival, Harlan said, and you have 48 hours to decide before your father's condition worsens beyond treatment. Well, Elena didn't go home. She walked, for hours. Through Boston Common, down Newbury Street, past the public garden where couples took selfies under trees shedding gold leaves. The city moved around her, people laughing, arguing, living their normal goddamn lives while hers imploded. Her phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Your father is asking for you. She took the T back to the hospital, rode the elevator to the 4th floor, walked into room 407, where her father lay looking small and fragile against white sheets. Hey, kiddo, he said when he saw her. His voice was weak, but his smile was real. Hey, Dad. She pulled the plastic chair close to his bed and sat down, took his hand. His skin felt papery, thin. You look tired, he said. I'm fine. Liar. He squeezed her fingers gently. What's wrong? Everything. Everything was wrong. Nothing, Elena said. Just worried about you. Her father studied her with those sharp brown eyes that still saw through every wall she tried to build. You're thinking about your mother. It wasn't a question. Yeah, Elena admitted. A little. She'd be proud of you. You know that, right? Elena's throat tightened. I don't know about that. I do. Her father coughed, a wet, rattling sound that made Elena's chest hurt. When he caught his breath again, he said, You're stronger than she was. Stronger than me. Dad, I mean it, Elena. You've got her heart, but you've got steel in your spine. That's rare. He paused. Whatever's happening, whatever you're dealing with, you'll figure it out. You always do. She wanted to tell him everything. About the Vances, about Harlan's insane offer, about the choice that wasn't really a choice at all. But she couldn't, because if she told him, he'd tell her to let him die. He'd say his life wasn't worth her sacrificing hers. He'd make it about nobility and love and letting go. And Elena wasn't ready to let go. Get some rest, she said instead, standing up. I'll be back tomorrow. Elena, she turned. Her father looked at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Whatever it is, don't lose yourself, okay? Promise me. She forced a smile. I promise. It was the first lie she'd ever told him that really mattered. Elena called Harlan Vance at 6 a.m. I'll do it, she said when he answered. I'll marry Adrian Ashford. Smart girl, Harlan said. No surprise, no congratulations, just satisfaction. Come to the estate at noon, we'll handle the paperwork. I have conditions. Of course you do. My father's treatment starts immediately, not after the wedding, immediately. Agreed. I keep my job. I'm not quitting teaching. Agreed. And nobody can know the marriage is fake. Not my father, not anyone. A pause. Then, that's the entire point, Miss Holloway. Adrian's reputation depends on this appearing legitimate. Fine. Then we're clear. One more thing, Harlan said. You'll meet Adrian today, at the estate. 3 o'clock. Elena's stomach dropped. Today? He wants to see what he's getting. The words made her skin crawl, but she swallowed the anger. Fine. Wear something presentable. He hung up. Elena stood in her tiny apartment, the place she'd lived for 6 years,
with its creaky floors and water-stained ceiling and windows that didn't quite close all the way, and tried to process what she'd just agreed to. She was going to marry a billionaire stranger. She was going to lie to her father. She was going to become someone else entirely. But he would live. That was all that mattered.
Adrian Ashford was not what Elena expected. She'd pictured someone loud, arrogant, the kind of billionaire who wore expensive suits like armor and talked about money the way normal people talked about weather. Instead, the man who walked into Harlan's sitting room at 3 o'clock looked exhausted. He was tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair starting to gray at the temples and eyes the color of slate. He wore jeans and a black sweater, no wedding ring, no watch that cost more than a car. He looked like a normal person who happened to be carrying the weight of the entire world on his shoulders. "Elena Holloway," Harlan said, gesturing toward her. "This is Adrian Ashford." Adrian nodded at her. "Miss Holloway." "Mr. Ashford." They stared at each other. The silence stretched uncomfortable.
"I'll leave you two to talk," Harlan said, and walked out before either of them could protest. Adrian sat down in the armchair across from Elena. He looked at her for a long moment. "You don't want to do this," he said finally. It wasn't a question. Elena lifted her chin. "Does it matter?" "No." He leaned back. "But I'm not going to pretend this is anything other than what it is. A business transaction." "Good. Neither am I." "Harlan told me about your father." Elena stiffened. And I'm sorry." She didn't know what to say to that. Sorry felt like the wrong word. Too small, too useless. "I have a daughter," Adrian continued. "She's 6. Her name is Claire. She'll live with us. You'll be expected to interact with her, be kind to her. If you can't do that, this won't work." "I'm a teacher," Elena said. "I like kids." "Good." Another silence. "Why are you doing this?" Elena asked. "You're a billionaire. You could marry anyone."
Adrian's jaw tightened. "I don't want to marry anyone. I want control of my company and stability for my daughter. This accomplishes both." "By lying. By surviving." He met her eyes. "We're both doing what we have to do. Let's not pretend either of us is a victim here." The words stung because they were true. "Fine," Elena said. "Then let's talk terms." They spent the next hour negotiating like lawyers. Separate bedrooms, minimal physical contact in public, hand-holding, maybe an arm around her waist at events, nothing more unless absolutely necessary. She'd keep her job. He'd pay her father's medical bills in full, immediately. She'd receive a monthly allowance for personal expenses. After 1 year, they'd reevaluate. After 2 years, divorce with a settlement. It was clinical, transactional, awful. "One last thing," Adrian said. "No one can know this is fake. Not your friends, not your father, not my business partners. This has to look real." "I know. Can you do that? Lie to everyone you care about?" Elena thought about her father in that hospital bed. About Dr. Patel's expression when he'd said $200,000. About the choice that wasn't a choice. "Yes," she said. "I can do that." Adrian studied her for a moment. Then he stood and extended his hand. "Then we have a deal, Miss Holloway." She stood, shook his hand. His grip was firm, impersonal. "When?" Elena asked. "The wedding?" "Yes. Next week. Small ceremony. Just family and a few witnesses." "Next week." 7 days until she became Mrs. Adrian Ashford. 7 days until her entire life changed. "Okay," Elena said quietly. Adrian nodded, turned to leave, then paused at the door. "For what it's worth," he said without looking back, "I'm not a monster. I won't make this harder than it has to be." Then he was gone. Elena stood alone in the sitting room, staring at her hand, the hand that had just agreed to marry a stranger, and wondered what the hell she'd just done. Toss. The next 7 days passed in a blur of paperwork and panic. Harlan's lawyers drew up contracts so dense Elena's eyes glazed over trying to read them. She signed everything. Her father's treatment began the next morning, immunotherapy and targeted radiation. Dr. Patel looked shocked when Elena told him the bills were covered. "I found family help," she'd said. Not a lie. Not quite. Her father cried when she visited that afternoon. "I never thought the Vances would—" "It's fine, Dad.
Don't worry about it.
She didn't tell him about Adrian, not yet. First the wedding, then she'd figure out how to explain that part. The ceremony was scheduled for the following Saturday. Beacon Hill, small garden venue, invitation only. Elena had nothing to wear. Vivian Vance showed up at her apartment on Wednesday with 3 garment bags and a look of thinly veiled horror. "You live here?" she asked, staring at the peeling wallpaper. "Not for much longer, apparently," Elena said flatly. Vivian laid the garment bags on Elena's second-hand couch. "Wedding dresses. Try them on. Pick one." The dresses were beautiful, elegant, expensive. Elena hated all of them. She chose the simplest one. Ivory silk, cap sleeves, nothing too dramatic. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. People like Vivian probably had tailors on speed dial. "You'll need shoes," Vivian said, eyeing Elena's scuffed flats. "And hair and makeup. I'll send someone." "I can do my own makeup." "Not for this you can't." Elena wanted to argue, but exhaustion won. "Fine." Vivian paused at the door. "You know this isn't going to be easy, right?" "I know." "Adrian isn't... He's not cruel, but he's not warm either. Don't expect romance." "I'm not expecting anything," Vivian smiled thinly. "Good. That'll make it easier." After she left, Elena sat on her couch in the wedding dress and stared at her reflection in the window. She looked like someone else, someone who belonged in the world she was about to enter. But underneath the silk and the borrowed elegance, she was still just Elena Holloway from Dorchester. The girl who taught Mozart to kids who didn't care. The girl whose father was dying. And now she was going to be a billionaire's wife. She laughed. It came out sounding slightly unhinged. Saturday arrived with crisp autumn air and golden light filtering through trees losing their leaves. Elena stood in a room at the venue, some historic house on Beacon Hill that probably had a plaque outside, while a woman she'd never met pinned her hair into something complicated. Another woman applied makeup. Elena sat still and let them work. Her phone buzzed, a text from her father. "Thinking of you today. Love you, kiddo." Her throat closed. He still didn't know. She'd told him she was busy with work, that she'd visit tomorrow. More lies. "You look beautiful," the makeup artist said. Elena looked in the mirror. The woman staring back looked polished, put together, nothing like the terrified mess she felt like inside. "Thanks," she managed. A knock on the door. Harlan stepped in, looking annoyingly pleased with himself. "Ready?" "No," he smiled. "Good answer. Let's go." The ceremony was outside in a garden overlooking the city. Maybe 20 people attended. Harlan, Vivian. A few people Elena didn't recognize, business associates probably. Adrian's lawyer, a photographer who moved around discreetly. And Adrian. He stood at the end of a short aisle lined with chairs, wearing a dark suit and an expression Elena couldn't read. His daughter Claire stood beside him in a blue dress, holding a small bouquet. She was tiny. Dark hair like her father. Big eyes that watched everything. Elena walked down the aisle alone. No father to give her away. No mother to cry happy tears. Just her and the sound of leaves rustling overhead. Adrian watched her approach. His face gave nothing away. She reached him, stood beside him. The officiant began talking, something generic about love and commitment and partnership. Elena barely heard it. Her heart was pounding too loud. "Do you, Adrian Ashford, take Elena Holloway to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." "And do you, Elena Holloway, take Adrian Ashford to be your lawfully wedded husband?" This was it. The moment. The point of no return. Elena looked at Adrian. He looked back. No warmth, no affection, just two people making a deal. "I do," she said. "Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride." Adrian hesitated. Then he leaned in and pressed a brief, chaste kiss to her lips. It lasted maybe 2 seconds. Felt like nothing. The small crowd clapped politely. And just like that, Elena Holloway became Elena Ashford, Mrs. Adrian Ashford, billionaire's wife. Liar. The reception was mercifully short. Champagne and small talk in a room that smelled like expensive flowers. Elena stood beside Adrian while people congratulated them. She smiled, thanked them, played the part.
Claire stayed close to her father, shy and quiet. When Elena knelt down to say hello, the little girl hid behind Adrian's leg. "Hi, Claire," Elena said gently. "I'm Elena." Claire peeked out, said nothing. "She's shy," Adrian said. "Give her time." Elena stood. "Of course."
They cut a cake neither of them would eat, posed for photos that would probably end up in some business magazine. Elena's face hurt from smiling. Finally, it was over. Adrian's driver pulled up in a black car that probably cost more than Elena's entire life savings. Adrian opened the door for her, a gesture that felt performative, not kind. "Where's Claire?" Elena asked. "With her nanny. She'll meet us at the house tomorrow." Elena nodded and slid into the car. Adrian got in beside her. The driver pulled away from the venue, heading toward whatever neighborhood billionaires lived in. They didn't speak. Elena stared out the window at the city passing by. Her city, Boston, the only place she'd ever lived, and felt like she was leaving it behind even though they were still driving through it. "You okay?" Adrian asked. She glanced at him. He was looking at his phone, not at her. "Fine," she said. "Liar." The word made her stiffen. "Excuse me?" He looked up. "You're not fine. Neither am I. Let's not pretend." "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing." He went back to his phone. "I'm just saying you don't have to perform when it's just us." Elena turned back to the window. "Good to know." 20 minutes later, they pulled through gates that opened automatically. The driveway curved through landscaped grounds. The house, mansion, really, appeared at the end. 3 stories of stone and glass and money. Elena stared. "This is where you live?" "This is where we live now," Adrian corrected. The driver stopped. Adrian got out and offered his hand. Elena took it because refusing felt petty. Inside, the house was exactly what she expected. Enormous, cold, impersonal, marble floors, high ceilings, furniture that looked expensive and uncomfortable. A woman in her 50s appeared from somewhere. "Mr. Ashford, welcome home." "Margaret, this is my wife, Elena. Elena, this is Margaret. She manages the house." "Nice to meet you," Elena said. Margaret smiled politely. "I've prepared the East Wing guest suite for you, Mrs. Ashford." Mrs. Ashford. The name felt wrong. "Thank you," Elena said. "I'll show you up," Margaret offered. Elena followed her upstairs, a staircase so wide you could drive a car up it, down a hallway lined with doors. Margaret opened one near the end. "Your suite," she said. Suite, not room. Suite. Inside was a bedroom bigger than Elena's entire apartment. King-sized bed, walk-in closet, attached bathroom with a tub the size of a small pool. "Mr. Ashford's suite is down the hall," Margaret said. "You have your own space, of course. If you need anything, just call the house line." "Thank you." Margaret left. Elena stood in the middle of the room, still wearing her wedding dress, and felt the reality crash down on her. This was her life now, this house, this lie. This stranger down the hall who was legally her husband. Her phone buzzed. Her father. "Treatment went well today. Feeling hopeful. Love you." Elena sank onto the bed and pressed her hands over her face. She'd done it. She'd saved him. But the cost? She had no idea yet. Outside, Boston glittered under autumn stars. Inside, Elena sat alone in a mansion that would never feel like home, wearing a wedding dress bought with desperation, and wondered how long she could keep pretending before the weight of all these lies buried her alive. The first morning in the mansion, Elena woke up confused. For a split second, she didn't know where she was. The ceiling was too high, the bed too soft. Then memory crashed back. The wedding, the contract, Adrian's cold handshake, and her stomach twisted. She grabbed her phone. 7:30. She had to be at school by 8:15. Elena showered in the bathroom that was genuinely nicer than most hotel suites, threw on jeans and a sweater, and headed downstairs. The house was silent except for her footsteps echoing off marble. She had no idea where the kitchen was. After 2 wrong turns, she found it. Massive, professional-grade appliances. An island bigger than her old kitchen table. Margaret was already there, pouring coffee. "Good morning, Mrs. Ashford," she said cheerfully. Elena winced. "Just Elena is fine." "Of course." Margaret gestured to the counter where breakfast was laid out like a hotel buffet. "I wasn't sure what you liked, so I made options." You didn't have to. It's my job. Right, because this was Elena's life now. People made her breakfast. Thank you, Elena said, grabbing a piece of toast. I have to get to work. Mr. Ashford mentioned you teach. The car's ready whenever you need it. Car? The driver, Robert. He'll take you wherever you need to go. Elena shook her head. I'll take the tea. Margaret looked confused. The subway? Yeah. But Mrs. Ashford, I'm taking the tea, Elena said firmly. She grabbed her bag and headed for the door before Margaret could argue. Outside, the morning air was cold and clean. Elena walked down the driveway, through the gates, and didn't look back at the mansion that felt more like a museum than a home. At school, everything was blessedly normal. Her students were the same chaotic mess they always were. 12-year-olds who couldn't sit still, couldn't remember their scales, couldn't care less about Beethoven. Elena loved them for it. Miss Holloway, did you do something different? Her student Jasmine asked during third period. Elena looked up from the piano. What do you mean? I don't know. You look different. New haircut, Elena lied. At lunch, her colleague David cornered her in the teacher's lounge. Okay, spill, he said. Spill what? You're acting weird. You've checked your phone like 50 times. Elena had been texting updates to her father's nurse, making sure the treatment was going smoothly, making sure the money had actually transferred. Just family stuff, she said. Everything okay? Yeah, fine. David studied her. You're a terrible liar, you know that? Elena forced a smile. Good thing I'm not lying then. After school, she took the tea back toward Beacon Hill, walked the last 10 minutes to the mansion because she still couldn't bring herself to call it home. The gates opened automatically when she approached. Security cameras tracked her movement. It felt invasive. Inside, the house was still quiet. Elena went upstairs to her suite and changed out of her work clothes. She had no idea what to do with herself, no idea what the routine was supposed to be in a fake marriage to a billionaire. A knock on the door. Come in, Elena called. Margaret poked her head in. Mr. Ashford wanted me to let you know dinner is at 7, in the dining room. Okay, thanks. Also, Claire arrived about an hour ago. She's in the playroom if you'd like to say hello. Elena's chest tightened. The daughter. Right, part of the deal. Where's the playroom? Margaret gave her directions. Elena found it on the second floor, a room filled with toys that looked barely touched. Claire sat on the floor with a puzzle, her nanny reading nearby. Hi, Claire, Elena said from the doorway. Claire looked up, stared, said nothing. The nanny stood. Mrs. Ashford, I'm Rachel. Elena, she corrected automatically. Can I come in? Of course. Elena walked over and sat down on the floor near Claire. Not too close. Just close enough. What are you working on? She asked. Claire glanced at the puzzle. It was half finished. Some cartoon character Elena didn't recognize. Looks hard, Elena said. Claire picked up a piece, fitted into place without looking at Elena. You're really good at puzzles, Elena tried. Nothing. This was going great. Rachel cleared her throat. She's been quiet today. New environments are hard. I get that, Elena said. She looked at Claire. I'm not very good at new places either. Claire's eyes flicked toward her, just for a second. Progress. Maybe. Elena stayed for another 10 minutes, making awkward small talk with Rachel, while Claire ignored both of them. Finally, she excused herself and went back to her suite. At 7, she headed downstairs. Found the dining room, because of course there was a formal dining room separate from wherever normal people ate. Adrian was already there, standing by the window with a glass of something amber. He'd changed out of whatever he'd worn to work. Dark slacks, white shirt, no tie. He looked tired. Hey, Elena said. He turned. Hey. They stared at each other. So, Elena said, this is weird. Very. Should we sit? Adrian gestured to the table. It was long enough to seat 12. 2 places were set at one end, across from each other. They sat. Margaret appeared with plates of food that looked professionally prepared. Of course they did. Thank you, Margaret, Adrian said. She disappeared. Elena picked up her fork, put it down, picked it up again. You don't have to eat if you're not hungry, Adrian said. I'm hungry. I just don't know what the protocol is here. There's no protocol. Really? Because everything about this house screams protocol. Adrian almost smiled. Almost. Fair point. They ate in silence for a few minutes. The food was incredible. Elena hated that she enjoyed it. How was your first day? Adrian asked. At school? Yeah. Normal. Chaotic. Good. She paused. How was work? Long. More silence. I met Claire, Elena said. She didn't say much. She won't. Not at first. Rachel seems nice. She is. Adrian set down his fork. Claire's been through a lot. Her mother, my late wife, died when she was 3. She doesn't really remember her, but she's protective of routines, familiar people. I won't push, Elena said. I'm not asking you to be her mother. I know. Just don't make her feel like she has to accept you. Let her come around on her own. Elena nodded. Okay. They finished eating. Margaret cleared the plates. Adrian poured himself another drink. Want one? He offered. Sure. He poured her 2 fingers of scotch. Elena took a sip. It burned going down but warmed her chest. Can I ask you something? She said. Go ahead. Why did your wife's death make the board worry about company stability? Adrian's jaw tightened. It wasn't her death. It was what happened before. There was a situation, financial impropriety involving company funds. It became public right before she died. Car accident. He drained his glass. The board's been nervous ever since. They think I'm a liability, too emotional, too distracted. A stable family life was their condition for keeping me as CEO. That's insane. That's business. Elena studied him. You really loved her. I thought I did. He refilled his glass. Turned out I didn't know her as well as I thought. The bitterness in his voice was sharp enough to cut. I'm sorry, Elena said. Don't be. It was a long time ago. But it clearly wasn't. Not really. Adrian stood. I have work to finish. Thanks for dinner. We literally just sat across from each other and ate. Still, he paused at the door. Tomorrow night there's a company event, cocktail thing. You'll need to come. Elena's stomach dropped. Already? People know we got married. They'll expect to see you. What do I wear? Something formal. Margaret can help. Then he was gone. Elena sat alone at the massive dining table, holding a glass of expensive scotch, and tried not to panic. The next day passed in a blur of teaching and dread. After school, Elena came home. She still couldn't call it that naturally, to find 3 dresses laid out on her bed. Margaret appeared in the doorway. Mr. Ashford had these sent over. Any of them should work. They were all beautiful, elegant, expensive. Elena picked the simplest one, black, fitted, nothing too flashy. At 6:30, she was ready, hair down, minimal jewelry. The dress fit perfectly because of course it did. She found Adrian in the foyer adjusting his cufflinks. He looked up when she came down the stairs. Something flickered in his expression, too fast to read. You look nice, he said. Thanks. So do you. The driver took them to a hotel downtown. The event was in a ballroom on the top floor, people in expensive clothes holding champagne glasses and networking. Elena's hand trembled slightly. Adrian must have noticed because he took it. Just stay close, he said quietly. Smile. Let me do the talking. They walked in together. Immediately, people turned to look. A man in his 50s approached, grinning. Adrian, there you are, and this must be the bride. Elena, this is Richard Moss. He's on the board. Elena shook his hand. Nice to meet you. Congratulations, Richard said. We were all surprised by the news. Adrian's usually so private. When you know, Adrian said smoothly, his arm sliding around Elena's waist. The touch felt performative, but necessary. Richard laughed. Well, she's lovely. How did you 2 meet? Elena opened her mouth, closed it. They hadn't planned this part. Through family, Adrian said. Elena's connected to the Vances. Technically true. Technically a lie. Ah, Harlan's crowd, good people. Richard clinked his glass against Adrian's. Well, don't let me monopolize you. Enjoy the evening. He wandered off. Elena exhaled. You okay? Adrian murmured. Lying is harder than I thought. You'll get used to it. The next 2 hours were exhausting. Adrian introduced her to dozens of people whose names Elena immediately forgot. She smiled, nodded, laughed at jokes that weren't funny, played the role. At one point, they ended up near the bar. Adrian ordered drinks while Elena stood nearby, trying to look comfortable. Elena Ashford. She turned. A woman in her 30s stood there, blonde and polished and smiling like a shark. "I'm sorry, have we met?" Elena asked. "Not officially. I'm Sophia Vance, Vivian's younger sister. Your cousin, I suppose." Elena's stomach sank. Another Vance. "Great." "Right. Hi." Sophia's smile didn't waver. "Congratulations on the marriage. It all happened so fast." "Yeah, it did. Adrian's quite a catch." Sophia's eyes drifted toward where Adrian stood talking to the bartender. "Half the women in Boston have been trying to get his attention for years." "Lucky me, then," Elena said flatly. "Must be strange," Sophia continued. "Going from Dorchester to Beacon Hill overnight? That's quite a leap." The words were polite. The tone was poison. Elena met her eyes. "I'm adaptable." "Clearly." Sophia sipped her champagne. "Well, welcome to the family. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of each other." She walked away before Elena could respond. Adrian reappeared with drinks. What did Sophia want? "To remind me I don't belong here." Adrian handed her a glass. "She's always been bitter. Ignore her." "Why is she bitter?" "Because she thought I'd marry into the Vance family through her. Harlan pushed the idea for years. I wasn't interested. And now you married the poor cousin instead. I married you because it was practical. Her feelings about it aren't my problem." The word should have stung, but Elena was too tired to care. They stayed another hour. Finally, Adrian said they could leave. Elena practically ran to the car. In the back seat, she kicked off her heels and leaned her head against the window. "You did well," Adrian said. "I feel like a performing monkey." "It gets easier." "Does it?" He didn't answer. Back at the mansion, Elena went straight to her suite, peeled off the dress, washed her face, crawled into bed. Her phone buzzed. Her father. "Feeling stronger today. When can I see you?" Guilt hit her like a truck. "Soon, Dad. I promise." She stared at the ceiling and tried not to cry. The next few weeks settled into a strange routine. Elena taught during the day, came home to the mansion, had awkward dinners with Adrian where they talked about nothing important, attended events where she smiled and lied and pretended to be someone she wasn't. Claire remained distant, polite, but unreachable. Elena's father grew stronger. The treatment was working. Every time Elena visited him at the hospital, he looked better. More color in his face, more energy. "You seem stressed," he said one afternoon. They were sitting in his room. He was doing physical therapy exercises, squeezing a foam ball, lifting light weights. "I'm fine," Elena said. "You keep saying that. I don't believe you." Elena looked at her hands. "Work's just busy. How's the money situation? You never told me how you managed to—" "It's handled, Dad. Don't worry about it." He studied her. "Elena." "What?" "You're not telling me something." Her throat tightened. She hated lying to him, hated it. "I'm fine," she repeated. "Really?" He didn't look convinced, but he let it drop. That night, Elena came home to find Adrian in the music room. She'd discovered it a week ago, a room on the first floor with a grand piano and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the garden. Adrian sat at the piano, pressing keys randomly. No melody, just noise. "Didn't know you played," Elena said from the doorway. He looked up, startled. "I don't." "Then what are you doing?" "Trying to remember." He pressed another key. "My wife, Claire's mother, she played. There was this one piece she loved. I can't remember how it went." Elena walked over, sat down beside him on the bench. "What piece?" "I don't know the name. Something classical, slow." Elena thought for a moment. Then she started playing. Claire de Lune, Debussy, slow and haunting. Adrian's hand stilled on the keys. He listened. When she finished, the silence felt heavy. "That's it," he said quietly. "That's the one." "It's beautiful." She was beautiful. He stood abruptly. "Thanks. I have calls to make." He left before Elena could say anything else. She sat at the piano alone, staring at the keys, and realized something that terrified her. She was starting to see Adrian as a person, not just a business arrangement, not just a stranger she'd married for money. A person, damaged and lonely and trying to hold everything together. That was dangerous. The following week, disaster struck at school. Budget cuts. The district was eliminating the music program entirely. Elena and 2 other teachers would be reassigned or let go. "I don't understand," Elena said to the principal. "We have students who need this program." "I know, I'm sorry. It's out of my hands." Elena walked out of the office feeling numb. That night at dinner, Adrian noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" he asked. "They're cutting the music program at school." He set down his fork. "Can they do that?" "Apparently. Budget crisis." Elena pushed food around her plate. "I'll probably be reassigned, teaching something I'm not qualified for, or just fired." "That's bullshit. That's public education." Adrian was quiet for a moment, then, "What if you didn't need the job?" Elena looked up. "What?" "You're already receiving an allowance. You don't need the income. It's not about the money. I like teaching. Those kids need music. Then teach them somewhere else." "Where? Private schools?" "I can't afford—" She stopped. "Oh, right. I forgot who I married." Adrian's expression was unreadable. "I'm not suggesting you quit. I'm suggesting you start your own program. A nonprofit. Free music education for kids who can't afford it." Elena stared at him. "That's insane." "Why?" "Because starting a nonprofit takes money and time, and you have both now. I have your money. That's different." "Is it?" Adrian leaned back. "You wanted to teach music to kids who need it. I'm offering you a way to do that without budget cuts or bureaucracy. What's the problem?" Elena's head was spinning. "I can't just take your money to start a— You're my wife. Legally. What's mine is yours. On paper. Does that matter?" She didn't know how to answer that. Adrian stood. "Think about it." Over the next few days, Elena couldn't stop thinking about it. A nonprofit, her own program. The dream she'd mentioned exactly once to Adrian during that storm conversation she'd almost forgotten about. He'd remembered. One evening, she found Adrian in his study, a room she rarely entered. He was at his desk, typing on a laptop. "Can I talk to you?" she asked. He looked up. "Sure." Elena sat in the chair across from him. "About the nonprofit thing." "Yeah? Why would you do that?" "Help me start something?" Adrian closed the laptop. "Because you're good at what you do. Because those kids need someone who gives a damn. And because—" He paused. "Because I want to." "That's not a real answer." "It's the only one I have." They stared at each other. "Okay," Elena said finally. "Okay?" "Yeah, let's do it." Something almost like a smile crossed Adrian's face. "I'll have my lawyer draw up the paperwork." 3 weeks later, Elena stood in a rented space in Roxbury, a community center that had agreed to host her program. 15 students sat in folding chairs, instruments in hand. Her program. Her students. Adrian had funded everything: instruments, space, materials. He hadn't asked for credit or recognition, just quietly made it happen. Claire had even come to the first session. She sat in the back with Rachel watching. At the end of class, Claire approached the piano where Elena was packing up sheet music. "Can I try?" Claire asked quietly. Elena's heart jumped. First words Claire had spoken directly to her. "Of course," Elena said. Claire sat down, pressed a few keys. Elena showed her where middle C was, how to find the other notes. "Like this?" Claire asked. "Perfect." Claire played a simple scale, smiled. "You're a natural," Elena said. When Rachel came to collect her, Claire looked back at Elena. "Can I come again?" "Anytime you want." That night at dinner, Adrian seemed lighter. "Claire talked about piano for an hour straight," he said. "Thank you. She's really talented. She's never shown interest in anything before. Not since—" He trailed off. "Since her mom died?" "Yeah." They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Adrian said, "This thing you're building, the program, it's good. You're good at it." Elena felt warmth spread through her chest. "Thanks." "I mean it." Their eyes met across the table. Something shifted. Something Elena couldn't quite name. She looked away first. Weeks passed. The program grew. Claire came to every session, started taking private lessons with Elena at the mansion. Elena noticed things about Adrian she hadn't before. The way he left sticky notes around the house with reminders for himself. The way he always made sure there was coffee ready in the morning. The way he listened when she talked about her students. Actually listened. Small things. Human things. One Friday night, Elena was in the music room working on lesson plans when Adrian appeared with 2 glasses of wine. "Peace offering," he said, "for being an ass earlier." They'd argued that morning about something stupid. Whose turn it was to tell Margaret about dinner plans. Petty married couple shit that felt alarmingly real. "You weren't an ass," Elena said, taking the wine. "I was." He sat down on the couch. "I'm not good at this. The domestic stuff. Having someone else in my space. I'm not good at it either." "Yeah, but you try. I just retreat." Elena joined him on the couch. "We're both trying." He looked at her, really looked at her. "When did this get complicated?" "What?" "This. Us. It was supposed to be simple. It was supposed to be fake," Elena said quietly. "Is it still?" The question hung between them. Elena's phone rang before she could answer. Her father's number. "Sorry, I have to." "Go ahead," she answered. "Dad?" "Hey, kiddo, got a minute?" "Yeah, what's up?" "I'm being discharged tomorrow. Doctor says I'm stable enough to go home." Relief flooded through her. "That's amazing. There's just one problem. The apartment. I can't handle the stairs yet. Physical therapy says I need ground floor access for a few months." Elena's mind raced. "I'll figure something out. I don't want to impose. You're not. I'll handle it. I promise." When she hung up, Adrian was watching her. "Your father?" he asked. "Yeah. He's being discharged, but he can't do stairs. I need to find him somewhere accessible." "He can stay here." Elena blinked. "What?" "We have 4 guest suites on the first floor. He can stay in one. Physical therapy can come here. Whatever he needs." "Adrian, I can't." "Why not?" "Because this is your house, and he's my father, and we're not actually—" She stopped. "Not actually what? Married?" "This isn't real," Elena said. "We both know that." "Does he?" She had no answer. "Bring your father here," Adrian said. "Let him recover properly. Then you can figure out what to tell him about us." Elena wanted to argue, but exhaustion won. "Okay, thank you." The next day, her father moved into the mansion. His reaction to seeing the house was exactly what Elena expected. "Jesus Christ, Elena, what the hell?" "It's temporary," she said quickly, "just until you're strong enough for stairs. This place has an actual chandelier, multiple chandeliers." "I know. How did you—" "Remember the family help I mentioned? It came with conditions." Her father's eyes narrowed. "What kind of conditions?" Before Elena could answer, Adrian appeared. "Mr. Holloway," he said, extending his hand, "I'm Adrian Ashford." Her father shook his hand slowly. "You're the one paying for my treatment." "I am." "Why?" "Because your daughter asked me to." Her father looked between them. "There's more to this story." "There is," Adrian said calmly. "But right now, let's get you settled. You must be exhausted." Over the next few days, Elena watched her father slowly piece things together. The way Adrian spoke to her, the way she knew where everything was in the house, the wedding ring on her finger she'd stopped noticing. Finally, one afternoon while Adrian was at work and Elena was helping her father with exercises, he said it. "You married him." Elena froze. "Dad, how long?" 6 weeks. 6 weeks. He sat back against the pillows. "You married a billionaire to pay for my treatment, and you didn't tell me." "I didn't know how—" "Does he know this was a transaction?" Elena's throat closed. "Yeah, he knows." Her father was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Does he treat you well?" "Yes." "Do you love him?" The question hit like a punch. "It's complicated," Elena whispered. "That's not a no." She looked at her father. His eyes were sharp despite the illness. "I don't know," she admitted. "I don't know what this is anymore."
Her father reached for her hand. Then figure it out. But don't sacrifice yourself for me. I'm not worth that. You're worth everything. No, I'm not. And you need to know that before you make choices you can't take back. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She got up around midnight and went downstairs. Found Adrian in the kitchen, eating ice cream straight from the container. Can't sleep either? She asked.
He gestured to the container. Want some? They sat at the kitchen island, passing the ice cream back and forth. Your father knows, Adrian said. It wasn't a question. Yeah. How much did you tell him? The truth? That we married so he could get treatment. Did you tell him the rest? Elena looked at him. What rest? Adrian set down the spoon. That somewhere in all this bullshit, I started actually liking you. Her heart stopped. Don't, she said. Don't what? Don't make this more complicated than it already is. It's already complicated, Elena. We're past simple. We had a deal. Fuck the deal, Adrian said. I'm tired of pretending you're just a contract. Elena stood up. This isn't real. Isn't it? He stood too, moving closer. You live here. You take care of Claire. You built a life here. At what point does it become real? When we stop lying about why it started. They were inches apart now. Elena could feel her pulse hammering. Then let's stop lying, Adrian said quietly. He kissed her. Not like at the wedding, brief and performative. Really kissed her, deep and desperate and real. For a second, Elena froze. Then she kissed him back. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. This is a mistake, Elena whispered. Probably. We can't. I know. But neither of them moved. The spell broke when they heard footsteps. Margaret appeared in the doorway, stopping short when she saw them. Oh, sorry, I thought, I'll just... She disappeared. Elena stepped back. I should go to bed, but... Elena should... Good night, Adrian. She practically ran upstairs. In her suite, she pressed her back against the door and touched her lips. Everything had just changed, and she had no idea what to do about it. Elena avoided Adrian for 3 days. It wasn't hard. He had back-to-back meetings in New York. She had her program and her father's physical therapy appointments to coordinate. They texted about logistics, Claire's schedule, household things, but nothing personal. Nothing about the kiss. On Thursday morning, Elena was helping her father through stretches when he said, You're hiding. I'm right here. From him, the husband. Elena didn't bother denying it. It's complicated. You said that already. Her father grunted through a leg lift. Complicated how? We weren't supposed to. It was supposed to stay simple. Nothing about marriage is simple, kiddo, fake or otherwise. You're not helping. He lowered his leg and looked at her. Do you want my advice or do you want me to shut up? Both? Too bad. Here it is. Whatever you're running from, you can't run forever. Not when you live in the same house. He was right. Elena hated that he was right. That night, Adrian came home. Elena heard the car in the driveway around 8. She was in the music room with Claire, running through scales. Claire had gotten good fast. Her fingers moved across the keys with growing confidence. That's perfect, Elena said. Try it again, a little faster. Claire played the scale again. Behind them, the door opened. Hi, Dad, Claire said without stopping. Hey, sweetheart. Adrian's voice was warm when he spoke to his daughter, different from the cold businessman tone he used everywhere else. Elena didn't turn around, kept her eyes on Claire's hands. How was New York? Claire asked. Boring. Lots of meetings. Did you bring me anything? Maybe. Claire grinned and played a triumphant chord. Can I see? After practice. Claire sighed dramatically but kept playing. Elena finally risked a glance back. Adrian stood in the doorway, still wearing his suit, tie loosened. He looked tired. Their eyes met for half a second before Elena looked away. 5 more minutes, Elena told Claire. Then we'll work on that new piece. Adrian left. Elena heard his footsteps fade down the hallway. When Claire's lesson ended, Elena walked her upstairs to Rachel. Then she stood in the hallway trying to decide if she should go to her suite or deal with the inevitable conversation. Her father's voice echoed in her head. Can't run forever. She found Adrian in his study, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, staring at his computer screen like it had personally offended him. "Can we talk?" Elena asked from the doorway. He looked up. "Yeah, come in." She closed the door behind her and sat in the chair across from his desk. For a moment, neither spoke. About the other night, they both started at the same time. Adrian gestured. "You first." "I don't know what that was," Elena said. "The kiss. I don't know if it was real or if we just got caught up in the moment or—" "It was real," Adrian interrupted. "You don't know that." "I know what I felt." Elena's chest tightened. "We can't do this." "Why not?" "Because we have a contract, an arrangement. We agreed to terms." "Fuck the terms," Adrian said, echoing his words from the kitchen. "People change. Situations change." "Not like this. Not this fast." "It's been 2 months, Elena. That's not fast. It's not long enough to— To what? Fall for someone?" Adrian leaned back in his chair. "I'm not saying I'm in love with you. I'm saying I like you. I like having you here. I like who Claire is becoming around you. I like the way you call me out when I'm being an ass. And yeah, I'm attracted to you. Is that really so terrible?" Elena's hands were shaking. "We weren't supposed to feel anything." "Well, I do. And unless I'm completely misreading this, you do too." She wanted to deny it. The words were right there, but they stuck in her throat because he was right. Somewhere between the awkward dinners and Claire's piano lessons and late-night conversations over ice cream, she'd started feeling things she had no business feeling. "This is a bad idea," she said finally. "Probably. We'll ruin everything." "Maybe." "Then why are we even talking about this?" Adrian stood, walked around the desk, sat on the edge of it so he was closer to her. "Because I'm tired," he said quietly. "I'm tired of pretending you're just a business arrangement. I'm tired of separate bedrooms and careful distance and acting like we're strangers who happen to share an address." "That's what we are." "No, it's what we were." He reached out, hesitated, then took her hand. "I'm not asking you to love me, Elena. I'm just asking you to stop pretending you don't feel anything." His hand was warm, solid, real. Elena looked down at their joined hands. "If we do this, if we try, and it falls apart, we can't just walk away. We're legally married. Claire's attached to me. My father's living here. It's messy. Everything worth having is messy." "That's a terrible argument. It's the only one I've got." She laughed despite herself. "You're really bad at this." "At what?" "Convincing someone to take a chance on you." "Is it working?" Elena met his eyes, saw vulnerability there she'd never noticed before. This man who commanded boardrooms and made billion-dollar decisions was sitting here asking her to give him a chance like a nervous teenager. "I don't know," she admitted. "I need time to think." "Okay." "Okay?" "Yeah." Adrian squeezed her hand once, then let go. "Take your time. I'm not going anywhere." The gala was Vivian's idea. Some charity event for arts education, perfectly aligned with Elena's non-profit, which meant refusing to attend would look suspicious. The invitation arrived on thick cardstock with elegant calligraphy. Black tie. The Four Seasons. All of Boston's elite would be there. "I hate these things," Elena muttered, staring at the invitation. Margaret, who'd been arranging flowers nearby, smiled. "Mr. Ashford hates them too. You'll suffer together." "That's romantic." "Isn't it?" The night of the gala, Elena stood in front of her closet in a panic. Margaret had sent up 3 dresses, all gorgeous, all expensive, all making Elena feel like an imposter. She chose a deep blue one, fitted bodice, flowing skirt, nothing too flashy. Did her own makeup because having someone else do it still felt weird. Left her hair down because the updo attempts had all looked ridiculous. When she came downstairs, Adrian was waiting in the foyer. He wore a tuxedo like he'd been born in one. Probably had been. He turned when he heard her heels on the stairs. Stopped moving entirely. "What?" Elena asked, suddenly self-conscious. "Is it too much? Not enough?" Margaret said, "You look beautiful," Adrian said. The words were simple, honest. They hit her harder than any elaborate compliment could have. "Thanks," she managed. "You clean up okay too." The corner of his mouth lifted. High praise. In the car, Elena fidgeted with her clutch. Adrian noticed. Nervous? He asked. These people make me nervous. I never know what to say. Say as little as possible. Smile. Let them make assumptions. That's your strategy for everything, isn't it? It's worked so far. The ballroom was exactly as Elena expected. Crystal chandeliers, elaborate floral arrangements, people in expensive clothes drinking expensive champagne. A string quartet played something classical in the corner. Everything screamed money. Adrian's hand settled on the small of her back as they entered. The touch was light but possessive. Protective, maybe. Showtime, he murmured. They made it approximately 15 minutes before the vultures descended. Richard Moss appeared first, champagne in hand, grinning like he'd won something. Adrian, Elena, wonderful to see you both. Richard, Adrian said evenly, I was just telling the board about your wife's nonprofit program. Very impressive. Teaching underprivileged children, correct? Kids who can't afford private lessons, Elena corrected. Not underprivileged, just kids. Richard blinked. Right, of course. Still, very charitable work. It's not charity, it's education. Adrian's hand pressed slightly firmer against her back. Warning or support, Elena couldn't tell. Well, however you frame it, it's admirable, Richard said. Adrian, we should discuss the quarterly reports. Do you have a moment? Not right now. It'll just take... I said, not right now. Adrian's voice carried an edge that made Richard step back. Of course. Later then. Richard disappeared into the crowd. Elena exhaled. I shouldn't have snapped at him. He's an idiot. You were fine. He's on your board. He's still an idiot. They grabbed drinks and tried to blend into the crowd, but people kept approaching. Business associates, society types. Everyone wanted to meet the mysterious woman who'd married Adrian Ashford. Elena smiled until her face hurt, answered questions with carefully neutral responses, laughed at jokes that weren't funny. Then Sophia appeared. She wore red, a dress so perfectly tailored it looked painted on. Her smile was sharp as glass. Elena, she said, what a beautiful dress. Is it borrowed? Adrian's jaw tightened, but Elena spoke before he could. No, it's mine. How lovely. You're adapting well to your new circumstances. I'm trying. Sophia sipped her champagne, eyes calculating. I have to admit I was surprised when I heard about the wedding, so sudden, so unexpected. When you know, Elena said, echoing Adrian's words from weeks ago. Do you? Sophia's gaze shifted to Adrian. No, I mean, really know him? Sophia, Adrian said quietly, don't. I'm just making conversation. Her smile widened. After all, we're practically family now. I'm simply curious how much Elena knows about your past, about Claire's mother, about the scandal. The word hung in the air like poison. Elena kept her expression neutral even as her stomach dropped. I know enough. Do you know about the embezzlement? How she stole millions from the company? How Adrian's name was dragged through every business publication in the country? I know she hurt him, Elena said evenly. I know she's gone. That's all that matters. Something flickered in Sophia's expression. Anger, maybe. Or jealousy. How noble, she said. Defending a man you've known for what, 3 months? Sophia. Adrian's voice was cold now. This conversation is over. I'm just trying to help. Someone should warn poor Elena what she's gotten herself into. The only person here making things difficult is you, Elena said. Her hands were shaking, but her voice stayed steady. Whatever issues you have with Adrian or with me, this isn't the place. Sophia's eyes narrowed. You think you belong here. That's adorable. I think I belong with my husband. Everything else is just noise. For a moment, Sophia looked like she might say something else. Then she turned and walked away, red dress swishing behind her. Elena's legs felt weak. Adrian's hand moved from her back to her waist, steadying her. You okay? He asked quietly. No, but I will be. We can leave. And give her the satisfaction? Hell no. Adrian almost smiled. You're tougher than you look. I teach middle schoolers. That woman's got nothing on 13-year-olds with attitude problems. This time he did smile. A real one. They stayed another hour out of pure spite. danced when the music started, a slow song that required Adrian to pull her close. His hand spread across her lower back. Her hand rested on his shoulder. They moved together like they'd done this 1,000 times. "Thank you," Adrian said. "For what?" "For defending me. You didn't have to." She was being awful. She was telling the truth. About the scandal. About my late wife. Elena looked up at him. "I don't care about that." "You should. It's messy. Complicated. Everything about us is messy and complicated. What's one more thing?" His eyes searched hers. "You mean that?" "Yeah, I do." The song ended, but neither of them moved. People swirled around them, dancing, laughing, living their lives. Elena and Adrian stood there in the middle of the ballroom like the world had narrowed to just them. "Elena," Adrian started. "Don't," she interrupted. "Not here. Not yet." Okay. But something had shifted. Again. Deeper this time. They left shortly after. In the car, Elena leaned her head against the window and watched Boston pass by in streaks of light. "What Sophia said about Claire's mother," she said. "Is it true? The embezzlement?" Adrian was quiet for a moment. "Yes." "Do you want to talk about it?" "Not particularly." "Okay." More silence. Then, "She was smart, beautiful. Everything I thought I wanted. We got married young. I was 28, she was 26. Had Claire a year later. Everything seemed perfect." Elena waited. "Then the auditors found discrepancies," Adrian continued. "Small at first, then bigger. Millions moving through shell companies, all traced back to her. She denied it, swore she was being framed. I believed her because I loved her. But she wasn't being framed. No. She'd been stealing from the company for 3 years, planning to disappear with the money and Claire. I only found out because she got sloppy." Elena's chest hurt. "What happened?" "Lawyers, investigations, media circus. The whole thing went public. Every business publication ran stories about the tech CEO who couldn't manage his own wife. The board wanted me out. But you stayed." "Barely. I had to grovel. Make promises. Prove I could separate personal from professional." Adrian's hands tightened on his knees. 2 weeks before the trial was supposed to start, she died. Car accident on Route 2. Single vehicle. No witnesses. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." The insurance investigation found brake fluid in her system. High amounts. She'd been planning it for days. Elena's breath caught. "She killed herself. The official report said accidental overdose combined with reckless driving. But I know better. She knew she was going to prison, knew she'd lose everything, so she made a choice." "That's not your fault." "I know that, logically, but Claire lost her mother. My reputation was destroyed. The company nearly collapsed, all because I didn't see who she really was." Elena reached over and took his hand. "You can't blame yourself for being betrayed." "Can I?" He looked at her. "I trusted the wrong person. Let her into every part of my life, and she almost destroyed everything." The words felt heavy with meaning. Elena understood what he wasn't saying. The trusting her, letting her in, terrified him. "I'm not her," Elena said quietly. "I know." "Do you?" Adrian squeezed her hand. "I'm trying to." When they got home, Elena walked Adrian to his suite. They stood outside his door like awkward teenagers after a first date. "Tonight was," Adrian started. "A lot," Elena finished. "Yeah, but good. Parts of it were good." "The part where my cousin tried to humiliate you? The part where you smiled. Really smiled. That was good." Adrian's expression softened. "You make me want to try again. Being happy, being open. All the things I shut down after everything fell apart." "That's terrifying," Elena admitted. "Yeah, it is." They stood there inches apart, not touching but not quite separate either. "Good night, Adrian," Elena said finally. "Good night." She turned to leave. His hand caught hers. "Elena." She looked back. "I'm glad you're here," he said. "In my life. In this house. I know that wasn't part of the deal, but I'm glad anyway." Her throat tightened. "I'm glad too." He let her go. She walked down the hallway to her suite, closed the door behind her. leaned against it, and tried to catch her breath. Everything was changing so fast. The breaking point came 2 weeks later, not with a fight or a grand gesture, with a storm. Adrian had planned a weekend at the family beach house in Nantucket, something about needing to check on the property before winter. Claire was staying with friends for a sleepover. Elena's father was stable enough to be left with nurses for a few days. "Come with me," Adrian had said. "It's beautiful out there. Quiet." Elena had agreed before thinking too hard about what being alone with Adrian for an entire weekend might mean. They took Adrian's boat Friday afternoon. The water was choppy, November wind already carrying the bite of winter. The beach house sat on a cliff overlooking the Atlantic, gray shingles, white trim, windows facing the endless ocean. Inside was different from the Beacon Hill mansion, smaller, cozier, worn furniture that looked actually lived in, photos on the walls, family pictures going back generations. "My grandparents built this place," Adrian said, setting their bags down. "I spent every summer here as a kid. It's beautiful. It's falling apart. Needs repairs I keep putting off." They spent Friday evening cleaning up, dusting surfaces, airing out rooms, starting a fire in the massive stone fireplace, cooking dinner together in the small kitchen. It felt domestic, normal, like they were actually married instead of playing pretend. That night, Elena lay in the guest room listening to waves crash against rocks below. Sleep wouldn't come. She got up around midnight and found Adrian on the deck, wrapped in a jacket, staring at the dark ocean. "Can't sleep?" she asked. "Never can out here. Too quiet after the city." Elena joined him at the railing. The wind whipped her hair around. Salt spray stung her eyes. "It's not quiet," she said. "Listen." Adrian listened. Waves, wind, the creak of the house settling. "Okay, not quiet," he amended. "Different. I like it." "Yeah? Yeah. Boston never stops humming. This actually feels peaceful." They stood there in comfortable silence until the temperature dropped and they went back inside. Saturday morning broke gray and threatening. By afternoon, rain hammered the windows. The weather report warned of severe storms, potential power outages, flooding, unsafe conditions. "We should head back," Adrian said, checking his phone. "The forecast says it's worse on the mainland. We might be safer staying. If the power goes out, we have a fireplace, candles. We'll be fine." Adrian looked skeptical but didn't argue. The storm hit hard around 6. Wind screamed around the house. Rain came sideways. The lights flickered once, twice, then died. "Perfect," Adrian muttered. Elena lit candles. They ate a cold dinner of bread, cheese, and the wine Adrian found in the cellar. The fireplace provided enough warmth to keep the main room comfortable. "Tell me something," Elena said. They were sitting on the floor in front of the fire, backs against the couch. The bottle of wine sat between them, half empty. "Like what?" Adrian asked. "Something real. Something you've never told anyone." "That's a dangerous game." "I'll go first." Elena took a sip of wine. "I wanted to be a concert pianist. That was my dream as a kid. Juilliard, Carnegie Hall, the whole thing." "What happened?" "Reality. I wasn't good enough. I loved music, but I didn't have that extra something, that spark that makes someone exceptional instead of just competent. So I became a teacher instead." "That's not settling. Teaching matters." "I know, but sometimes I wonder what if, what if I'd been good enough?" Adrian was quiet for a moment. Then, "I wanted to be a musician too, jazz guitar. Drove my father insane. He wanted me in business, said music was a hobby, not a career." "Did you fight him on it?" "For about 6 months, then he died. Heart attack at 52. Left me the company and all the responsibility that came with it. I was 23. Adrian stared into the fire. "I haven't picked up a guitar in 10 years. "That's sad. That's life." "It doesn't have to be." He looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you're a billionaire. You can do whatever you want. If you want to play guitar, play guitar." "It's not that simple." "Why not?" "Because I have responsibilities, a company, employees, Claire. I can't just..." "Live your life?" Elena interrupted. "Yes, you can. You're allowed to have things that make you happy." "Are you happy?" Adrian asked. "Teaching other people's kids instead of performing?" The question caught her off guard. "I don't know. I thought I was. Before all this." "And now?" Now everything's different. I don't know what happy looks like anymore. The fire crackled. Outside, the storm raged. I'm terrified of you, Adrian said suddenly. Elena's heart stuttered. What? You, this, the way I feel when you're around, it terrifies me. Why? Because the last person I let in destroyed everything. And you could do so much worse. I wouldn't. You could, Adrian insisted. You're in my house, around my daughter. You know about the company, the scandal, all of it. You could wreck me without even trying. But I won't. How do I know that? Elena turned to face him fully. You don't. That's what trust is, taking the risk anyway. I'm not good at risk, not with people. Neither am I. But here we are. Adrian's eyes searched hers. What are we doing, Elena? I don't know. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. The space between them felt electric, dangerous. If we do this, Adrian said quietly, if we make this real, there's no going back. No pretending it's just a contract. I know. We could destroy each other. Probably. And you still want to try? Elena's heart was pounding. Do you? Instead of answering, Adrian kissed her. Not like the kitchen, desperate and surprising. This was different, slower, deliberate, like he was giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Elena kissed him back, hands fisting in his shirt, pulling him closer. Adrian's hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheekbone. The kiss deepened, intensified. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Adrian rested his forehead against hers. Stay with me tonight, he said. Not in the guest room. With me. Adrian, I'm not asking for forever, just tonight, just this. Elena knew this was the point of no return. Once they crossed this line, everything would change. The contract would mean nothing. The carefully maintained distance would collapse. But she was so tired of being careful. Okay, she whispered. They moved to the master bedroom, a room with windows overlooking the storm-dark ocean. Adrian lit more candles. The flickering light cast shadows across his face as he turned to her. We can stop, he said. Anytime. Just say the word. I don't want to stop. He kissed her again and again, until thinking became impossible and all that existed was sensation and want, and the man in front of her who'd somehow become everything she hadn't known she needed. Later, much later, Elena lay in Adrian's arms listening to his heartbeat slow to normal. Rain still battered the windows. The storm showed no signs of stopping. I'm scared, she admitted into the darkness. Of what? This. Us. What happens when we go back to Boston and real life? Adrian's arms tightened around her. We figure it out, together. What if we can't? Then we fail, but at least we tried. Elena tilted her head to look at him. You really believe that? I'm starting to. She kissed him, soft and brief. What was that for? Adrian asked. For trying. For letting me in. For being brave enough to risk this. I'm not brave. I'm terrified. That's what makes it brave. They fell asleep tangled together as the storm raged outside, neither knowing that the real storm was still coming. That trust, once given, could be shattered in seconds. That the happiness they'd found in each other was more fragile than either of them realized. But for that night, in that moment, they were simply two people who'd stopped pretending and started feeling. And it was enough. Sunday morning arrived with clear skies and calm water. The storm had passed, leaving debris scattered across the beach and the power still out. They ate breakfast by candlelight, made plans to head back to Boston that afternoon, talked about mundane things, Claire's schedule, Elena's upcoming program showcase, repairs the house needed. Normal couple conversations, except they weren't a normal couple, and reality was waiting for them back in the city, sharp-edged and unforgiving. On the boat ride home, Elena stood at the railing watching Nantucket disappear behind them. Adrian joined her, hand settling on her lower back like it belonged there. Regrets? He asked. No? You? No. What happens now? Adrian was quiet for a moment. We keep going. See where this takes us. That's not very specific. I know, but it's all I've got. Elena leaned against him. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders. They had no idea that in 3 days, everything would shatter. That trust was about to be tested in ways neither of them could imagine. That the happiness they'd found this weekend would soon feel like a distant memory. But for now, heading home across calm water under clear skies, they held on to each other and believed that maybe, just maybe, they could make this work. They were wrong. The happiness lasted exactly 3 days. 3 days of Adrian actually smiling at breakfast, of Claire noticing something different between them and grinning like she knew a secret, of Elena's father raising his eyebrows knowingly but saying nothing. 3 days of feeling like maybe they'd figured something out. Then Tuesday morning happened. Elena woke up alone. Adrian's side of the bed was already cold. He'd been gone for hours, probably. She stretched, smiled at the ceiling like an idiot, and reached for her phone to check the time. 7:15. She had to teach in an hour. Elena showered in Adrian's bathroom instead of going back to her suite. Used his soap that smelled like cedar and something expensive. Wrapped herself in one of his shirts because her clothes were still down the hall and she was running late. She padded barefoot across his bedroom, gathering her things from the night before, when something caught under her foot. Small. Hard. She looked down. A pearl earring. Elena bent and picked it up, examined it in the morning light streaming through the windows. It was delicate, expensive looking, a single freshwater pearl set in gold, not hers. Her stomach dropped. She checked the floor around the bed. Nothing else. Just the one earring, half hidden under the bedskirt where it had probably rolled. Elena sat on the edge of the bed, earring in her palm, and tried to think rationally. It could be old. From before. From Claire's mother or a housekeeper or someone who'd stayed in this room years ago. But the earring looked clean. No dust, no tarnish. Her hand started shaking. No. She wasn't doing this. Wasn't jumping to conclusions. She'd ask Adrian. There'd be a reasonable explanation. Elena got dressed, the earring burning a hole in her pocket. Went downstairs. Found Margaret in the kitchen. "Have you seen Adrian?" Elena asked, trying to keep her voice normal. "Left early for a breakfast meeting. Said he'd be at the office all day." "Right. Okay." Elena grabbed coffee and toast she couldn't taste. Drove to school in a fog. Taught 3 classes on autopilot while the earring sat in her bag like evidence of something she couldn't quite name. By lunch, she'd talked herself down. It was nothing. Old jewelry. A mistake. By the time school ended, the doubt had grown teeth. Elena came home to an empty house. Her father was at physical therapy. Claire at a play date. Adrian still at work. She went upstairs to his suite, stood in the doorway like she was invading someone else's space instead of the bedroom she'd slept in for the past 3 nights. The bed was made. Pristine. Like nothing had ever happened there. Elena pulled out her phone and called Adrian. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Hey, everything okay?" "Yeah, fine. Can you come home early tonight? I've got meetings until 7. Why?" "I need to talk to you about something." A pause. "What's wrong?" "Nothing. Maybe. I don't know. Just come home when you can." "Elena, please?" "Okay. I'll try to wrap up by 6. She hung up. Stared at the earring sitting on Adrian's nightstand where she'd placed it like an accusation. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "You should check the security footage from last Thursday, 2 to 4 p.m., while you were teaching." Elena's blood went cold. She stared at the message, typed back, "Who is this?" No response. Her hands trembled as she opened the message thread she had with Margaret. The housekeeper had given Elena access to the security system weeks ago, something about being able to check if packages arrived. Elena pulled up the footage, found last Thursday. Fast-forwarded to 2 p.m. The cameras covered the main entrance, the driveway, the back garden. She watched Margaret leave for errands at 2:15, the house empty except for Claire, who was upstairs in her playroom with Rachel. At 2:47, a car pulled up the driveway. Sophia Vance. Elena's stomach clenched. She watched Sophia get out of the car. Ring the doorbell. Wait. When no one answered, Sophia tried the door. It opened. Margaret must have forgotten to lock it. Sophia disappeared inside. Elena switched camera views frantically. The interior cameras were limited. Adrian valued privacy, but there were a few in the main hallways. She found footage of Sophia moving through the house, looking around like she owned the place, heading upstairs. The upstairs cameras didn't cover the bedroom hallways, just the main landing. Sophia was up there for 11 minutes. Then she came back down, looking satisfied, and left. Elena's heart pounded. She rewound, watched again, tried to find proof of what Sophia had done in those 11 minutes. Nothing. No cameras in the bedrooms. No way to prove... Wait. Elena switched to the exterior cameras, zoomed in on Sophia's car, caught a glimpse of her face as she drove away. She was smiling. Elena's phone buzzed again, another text from the same unknown number. She planted it. The earring. She wanted you to find it. Ask yourself why. Elena stared at the message until her eyes burned. Ask yourself why. Because Sophia was jealous, bitter, still nursing a grudge about Adrian marrying someone else, because she wanted to destroy the marriage. Elena should have felt relief, should have been glad Adrian hadn't betrayed her, but all she felt was sick, because the earring had worked. For hours she doubted him, questioned everything, let suspicion poison what they'd just started building. That was the real damage, not the lie itself, the fact that she'd believed it so easily. The front door opened downstairs. Adrian's voice called out, "Elena, you home?" She found him in the foyer, loosening his tie, looking exhausted. "Hey," he said. "I got out as fast as I could. What's wrong?" Elena pulled the earring from her pocket, held it up. Adrian's expression shifted. Confusion first, then understanding, then something that looked like hurt. "Where did you find that?" he asked quietly. "Your bedroom, under the bed." "And you think—" "I know it's not what it looks like," Elena interrupted. "I have proof." She showed him the security footage, watched his face harden as Sophia appeared on screen, entering the house, going upstairs. When it finished, Adrian was silent for a long moment. "She broke into my house," he said finally. His voice was dangerously calm. "Went into my bedroom, planted evidence, all to..." "What? Convince you I'm cheating?" "Yeah." "And you believed her?" The words hit like a slap. "For about 6 hours, yeah," Elena admitted. "Then I got a text telling me to check the footage." "Who from?" "I don't know. Unknown number." Adrian took the phone, looked at the messages. "This doesn't make sense. Who would help you? Someone who wants Sophia exposed? Or someone who wants us to turn on each other even after seeing the truth?" Elena hadn't thought of that. Adrian handed back the phone, looked at the earring in her palm. "Did you think I'd do that? Sleep with someone else 3 days after what happened between us?" "I didn't want to think that." "But you did. For a few hours, before I knew better." "A few hours is all it takes, isn't it?" Adrian's voice was bitter now. "For doubt to creep in, for trust to crack." "I came to you," Elena said. "I wanted to talk about it. I didn't just assume..." "You assumed enough to spend the whole day sick over it. I can see it on your face." She couldn't deny that. Adrian walked to the window, stared out at the garden. "My late wife lied to me for 3 years, stole millions. I didn't see it because I trusted her completely. So when trust breaks, even a little, I notice. This is different." "Is it?" "Yes, because I'm not her. And you're not the person who broke me either." Adrian turned. "Who did break you?" The question caught her off guard. "What?" "Someone made you believe you're not worth fighting for. Someone taught you to doubt good things when they happen." "Who was it?" Elena's throat tightened. "That's not fair." "Neither is assuming I'd betray you before even asking." They stared at each other across the foyer. The space between them felt enormous. "I'm sorry," Elena said finally. "You're right, I should have come to you immediately. You should have trusted me." "I did. Eventually." "Eventually isn't good enough." The words stung because they were true. Adrian scrubbed a hand over his face. "I need to deal with Sophia. This is harassment, breaking and entering." "What are you going to do?" "Talk to Harlan. He needs to control his family before I get lawyers involved." "Adrian, she broke into my house, Elena, into my bedroom,
where my daughter sleeps down the hall. This isn't about us. This is about safety.
He was right, but Elena could see the wall going back up. The careful distance he'd dropped in Nantucket, reassembling itself brick by brick. "Don't do this," she said quietly. "Do what?" "Shut me out. Punish me for being human." "I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself." "From me?" "From this. From caring too much and getting destroyed when it falls apart." "It doesn't have to fall apart, doesn't it?" Adrian looked at her. "We've been really together for 3 days, Elena. 3 days. And already we're here. Already there's doubt and planted evidence and games. What happens in 3 months? 3 years? We fight for it. We choose to trust each other. And when that's not enough, then we fail. But we don't give up before we've even tried." Adrian was silent for a long moment. Then he picked up his phone. "I need to make some calls." He walked away, left Elena standing in the foyer holding a pearl earring that had nearly destroyed everything. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She lay in her own suite, the one she'd abandoned since Nantucket, and stared at the ceiling. Down the hall, Adrian was in his room. Separate, distant, like they'd never crossed that line at all. Around midnight, Elena's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. "Who is this?"
"Someone who's trying to help." The voice was female, muffled, deliberately disguised. "Why?" "Because Sophia Vance is poison and someone needs to stop her. You sent me the security footage tip." "Yes." "Why help me?" "Because you don't deserve what she's doing, and because Adrian deserves better than being manipulated by his dead wife's ghost and his living enemies." Elena sat up. "Who are you?" "That doesn't matter. What matters is this. The earring was just the beginning. Sophia won't stop. She wants you gone." "Then I'll leave. Problem solved." "No. If you leave, she wins, and then she'll go after Adrian, use Claire, destroy everything he's built out of spite." "Why do you care?" A pause. "Because I owe him. That's all you need to know. Give me something real, some proof you're not just stirring up more drama. Check your email. I'm sending you something. It's from 2 months ago, before you even married Adrian. Proof that Sophia's been planning this since the engagement was announced." The line went dead. Elena checked her email. 3 minutes later, a message appeared from a burner address. No subject line, just a PDF attachment. She opened it. Email screenshots, text messages, all from Sophia to someone named Marcus, discussing the marriage, calling Elena a gold-digging nobody, planning ways to expose the arrangement and get rid of the liability. The messages were dated from August through October, weeks of planning, weeks of venom. In one message, Sophia wrote, "Once I prove the marriage is fake, the board will force Adrian out. Then the company destabilizes and I can finally get what I deserve." Elena's hands shook. This wasn't just about jealousy. Sophia was planning to destroy Adrian's career, his company, everything, and Elena was just the first target. She forwarded the emails to Adrian, then called him. He answered immediately. "What's wrong?" "Check your email, right now." She heard him moving, the click of a laptop opening, silence while he read. Then, "Where did you get these?" "The same person who told me about the security footage. I don't know who they are." "These could be faked." "Could be, but why would someone go to the trouble?" Adrian was quiet. "This is bad, Elena." "I know." "If she's planning to go after the company, to claim the marriage is fraudulent, then we need to prove it's not." "How?" "By making it real, officially. No more contracts, no more arrangements, just a real marriage." Adrian didn't respond. "Adrian? That's not... We can't just... Why not? We're already living like we're married. Claire thinks we're together. Your father thinks we're together. We've been sleeping together. What's the difference?" "The difference is intent. The difference is that we started this as a lie, and now we make it true. You're talking about throwing away the exit clause, the settlement, the entire agreement. I'm talking about choosing each other for real instead of hiding behind paperwork." She heard him breathing on the other end of the line. "I need to think," he said finally. "How long?" "I don't know. It's a lot. Sophia won't wait for you to be ready." "I know. Then what do we do?"
I'll talk to my lawyers, figure out our options. Elena's chest hurt. That's your answer? Lawyers? It's the smart answer. And what about the brave answer? I don't have one of those right now. She hung up. The next morning, Elena woke to chaos. Her phone was blowing up. Texts, missed calls, voicemails. She grabbed it. The first text was from her friend David at school. WTF Elena. Call me. She opened her news app. The headline made her stomach drop. Tech CEO Adrian Ashford's marriage, a sham? Sources claim wife paid 6 figures to fake relationship. The article was brutal. Anonymous sources claiming the marriage was transactional, that Elena had been hired to play the role of wife, that Adrian's late wife's scandal had made him desperate for respectability. No proof, just speculation and anonymous quotes. But it was enough. Elena's hands shook as she scrolled. The story had been picked up by business publications, tech blogs, even gossip sites. Her phone rang. Harlan Vance. Did you do this? He demanded when she answered. What? No. Someone leaked the arrangement. Now Adrian's board is calling emergency meetings. This is a disaster. I didn't... Harlan, this is Sophia. She's trying to destroy... I don't care who it is. Fix it. Now. Before my family's name gets dragged further into this mess. He hung up. Elena grabbed clothes, ran downstairs, found Adrian in his study looking like he hadn't slept. Did you see? She started. I saw. His voice was flat, dead. Adrian. Oh. The board wants a statement. Proof the marriage is legitimate. They're threatening to force me out if this turns into another scandal. Then we give them proof. How? Everything about this looks exactly like what it is. Was. He corrected himself. A contract marriage. So we tell the truth. That it started as an arrangement but became real. Who's going to believe that? People who know us. Claire, my father, your friends. I don't have friends. I have business associates who are currently questioning my judgment. Elena moved closer. Then we prove them wrong. Adrian looked at her, really looked at her. How much of this is about saving my reputation and how much is about saving us? The question hit hard. Both, Elena admitted. Is that wrong? I don't know anymore. Her phone buzzed, another unknown text. Meet me at the Common. Boston Public Garden. The Bridge. 1 hour. Come alone. I'll give you what you need to destroy Sophia. Elena showed Adrian the message. It's a trap, he said immediately. Or it's the person who's been helping me. You don't know that. I know Sophia won't stop. This mystery person seems to want her stopped. That's good enough for me. Elena, sit. I'm going. You can come or not. Adrian grabbed his coat. I'm coming. They drove to the Common in tense silence, parked and walked through the gardens toward the bridge. November had stripped most of the trees bare. Tourists took photos. Joggers passed. At the bridge, a woman stood with her back to them. Thin, blonde, expensive coat. She turned. Vivian Vance. Elena stopped. You? Vivian smiled thinly. Surprise. You've been helping me? Why? Because Sophia's my sister and I love her, but she's also unhinged, and what she's doing to you, to Adrian, it's gone too far. Adrian stepped forward. You leaked those emails to Elena. I did. Why? Because someone needed to stop Sophia before she destroys herself along with everyone else. Vivian pulled an envelope from her coat. This is everything, Sophia's communications with the press, the sources she paid to plant the story, proof she orchestrated the whole thing. Elena took the envelope. This could ruin her. She's already ruining herself. I'm just giving you the tools to fight back. Why now? Adrian asked. Why not weeks ago? Because I wanted to see if you two were real first. If this marriage was just business like Sophia claimed, I'd have let her expose it. But watching you at the gala, the way you defended each other, I realized it's not fake anymore. Maybe it never was. Elena stared at her cousin. You gambled with our lives to see if we cared about each other? Yes, and you passed. Congratulations. Vivian's expression softened slightly. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. About my family, about Sophia.
You deserved better than being dragged into our mess. What happens to Sophia? Elena asked. That's up to you. You have the proof. You can go public, destroy her reputation, or you can bury it and let her self-destruct on her own.
Adrian took the envelope. What do you get out of this? Peace of mind, knowing I tried to do the right thing for once. Vivian started to walk away, then paused. One more thing. The marriage. Make it real or end it. But don't keep living in this gray area. It's killing you both. She left. Elena and Adrian stood on the bridge holding evidence that could change everything. We should go to the press, Elena said. Clear your name. That would destroy Sophia. She tried to destroy us. I know. Adrian looked at the envelope. But if we go public with this, it proves the marriage started as an arrangement. Even if it's real now, the damage is done. So what do we do? Adrian was quiet for a long time. Then, we tell the truth. Not to the press, to the board. We admit the marriage started as a contract, that it's real now. We let them decide. They'll force you out. Maybe. You'd give up your company? I'd give up pretending. Adrian met her eyes. I'm tired, Elena. Tired of lies and games and protecting myself. If the board can't see past how this started to what it is now, then maybe I don't want to work for them anyway. Elena's eyes burned. You're serious? Yeah. What about Claire, your legacy? My legacy is my daughter, and I'd rather her see me fail honestly than succeed through deception. Elena stepped closer, took his hand. Then we do it together. You could walk away. Take the settlement. Start fresh somewhere Sophia can't touch you. I don't want fresh. I want this. Messy and complicated and real. Adrian kissed her. Right there on the bridge with tourists walking past and the November wind biting through their coats. Kissed her like she was the only real thing in a world full of lies. When they broke apart, Elena whispered, "Whatever happens, we face it together." Together, Adrian agreed. They walked back to the car holding hands. Neither of them knew that in 3 days, everything would fall apart anyway. That trust, once tested, could shatter completely. That the worst betrayal was still coming. But for that moment, crossing the common together with proof of Sophia's schemes in hand, they believed they'd survive anything. They were almost right. That night, the board met an emergency session. Adrian presented everything: the original contract, the timeline, Sophia's interference, and the truth about what the marriage had become. The vote was split. Half wanted him out immediately. Half were willing to wait and see. They gave him 30 days to prove the marriage was legitimate. 30 days to convince them he wasn't a liability. 30 days before everything came crashing down. Elena lay in Adrian's bed that night, their bed now, officially, and tried not to think about deadlines. What if we can't convince them? She asked. Adrian pulled her closer. Then I walk away. Start something new. Just like that? Just like that. You built that company from nothing. I built it once. I can build again. He kissed her forehead. With you, this time. Elena wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that love and honesty would be enough. But in the back of her mind, a voice whispered that they were running out of time, and the worst was yet to come. The 30 days felt like both forever and no time at all. Elena threw herself into proving the marriage was real. Joint bank accounts, updated insurance policies, 1,000 small domestic details that built a paper trail of legitimate partnership. Adrian did the same, though she could see the strain wearing on him: board meetings that ran late, tense phone calls, the weight of potentially losing everything he'd built. But they were happy. That was the strange part. Despite the deadline hanging over them, despite Sophia's continued harassment through lawyers and leaked stories, despite the media circus that had turned their private life into public spectacle, they were actually happy. Claire noticed, started calling Elena Mom, sometimes, casually, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Elena's father recovered enough to move back to his own apartment, but he visited twice a week for dinner and piano sessions with his granddaughter. It felt like a real family, like a real life. Which made what happened 3 weeks into their 30-day deadline so much worse. Elena came home from teaching on a Thursday afternoon to find Adrian's car already in the driveway. Strange. He usually worked until 7. Inside, the house was quiet. Too quiet. "Adrian," she called. No answer. She found Margaret in the kitchen, face pale. "What's wrong?" Elena asked immediately. "Mr. Ashford is in his study. He asked not to be disturbed." "What happened?" Margaret hesitated. "I think you should ask him." Elena's stomach dropped. She took the stairs 2 at a time, her teaching bag forgotten by the door. Adrian's study door was closed. She knocked. "I said I didn't want to be—" "It's me." Silence. Then, "Come in." He sat at his desk, laptop open, face ashen. A glass of scotch sat untouched beside him. "What happened?" Elena asked, closing the door behind her. Adrian turned the laptop toward her. "Watch." The video was 47 seconds long. It showed Adrian, unmistakably Adrian, in their bedroom, with Sophia. The footage was grainy, shot from a weird angle, but the figures were clear enough. His voice, her body, their bed. Intimate, damning, devastating. Elena's legs went weak. She gripped the edge of the desk. "When—" she started, but her voice cracked. "It's fake," Adrian said immediately. "Elena, look at me. It's fake." She couldn't look at him, couldn't tear her eyes away from the screen. "The timestamp says last Tuesday," Adrian continued. "I was in New York all day Tuesday. I have phone records, credit card receipts, witnesses. This video is fabricated. It looks real. It's deepfake technology. Sophisticated but fake. My lawyers are already analyzing it." Elena finally looked at him. "Who sent this?" "It's being shopped to media outlets. 3 different publications contacted my PR team within the hour. Someone's trying to release it publicly." "Sophia." "Probably. Though this level of technology requires serious money and expertise. She's got help." Elena sank into the chair across from him. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Even if it's fake," she said quietly, "even if we can prove it's fake, the damage is done. People will see this. They'll wonder." "I know. The board will use this as justification to force you out." "I know. And I'll be the idiot wife who stayed with a cheater whether it's real or not." Adrian stood, moved around the desk, knelt in front of her chair so they were eye level. "Elena, look at me." She did. His eyes were desperate, scared. "I would never do that to you," he said. "Not with Sophia. Not with anyone. What we have, it's the only real thing in my life right now. Do you believe me?" The question hung between them. Did she believe him? 3 months ago, she wouldn't have trusted anyone this completely. Would have taken the doubt and run. Protected herself before she could get hurt. But now, "I believe you," she said. Relief flooded Adrian's face. "Thank you. But it doesn't matter what I believe if the whole world thinks you betrayed me. Then we fight back. We prove it's fake. We expose whoever's behind this." "How?" Adrian's phone rang before he could answer. He glanced at the screen. "It's my lawyer. I need to take this." Elena nodded. He stepped into the hallway, voice low and tense. She sat alone in the study, the frozen video still on the screen, stared at the fabricated image of her husband with another woman, and felt something cold settle in her chest. Not doubt. Not anymore. Rage. Someone had done this deliberately, created this video, timed its release for maximum damage, tried to destroy everything she and Adrian had fought to build, and Elena was done playing defense. She grabbed her phone and called the unknown number that had helped her before. It rang 6 times before Vivian answered. "This is escalating fast," Vivian said without preamble. "Did you know about the video?" "I heard rumors. I didn't know it was this bad." "I need to know who's helping Sophia. Names, companies, everything." "Elena, I'm not asking. I'm telling. You wanted to help? Help me end this." Vivian was quiet for a moment. Then, "There's a tech consultant, Marcus Chen. He specializes in digital manipulation. Very expensive, very discreet. Sophia hired him 2 months ago." "Can you prove it?" "I can get you his invoices, but using them means exposing how I got them." "I don't care." "You should. This will blow up my family. My father will disown me." "He already abandoned my mother. I don't owe him anything, and neither do you." Vivian laughed bitterly. "You're braver than I am." "No,
I'm just tired of losing. I'll send you everything I have, but Elena, be careful. Sophia's desperate. Desperate people do dangerous things. The line went dead.
Adrian came back into the room. The lawyers think they can get an injunction. Stop the video from being published while we prove it's fabricated. How long will that take? Days? Maybe a week. We don't have a week. The board meets in 7 days to make their final decision. I know. Elena stood, paced to the window, stared out at the garden where leaves swirled in the November wind. I'm going to Sophia, she said. What? I'm going to confront her. End this directly.
That's a terrible idea.
So is sitting here waiting to be destroyed. Elena? She wants me gone, right? Fine. Let her say it to my face. Adrian moved to stand beside her. You don't have to do this. Yeah, I do. Because if I don't, she wins. She makes me afraid, makes me doubt, makes me run. Elena turned to him. I'm not running anymore. Then I'm coming with you. No, this is between me and her. Elena? Trust me, she interrupted. Please, just trust me. He studied her face. Whatever he saw there made him nod slowly. Okay, but I'm calling you every 15 minutes. And if you don't answer, I'm coming to get you. Deal. Elena found Sophia at a gallery opening in the South End. Of course she did. Sophia lived for these things, being seen, making connections, playing the part of cultured society woman.
Elena walked in wearing jeans and a sweater. Hadn't bothered to change, didn't care about the stares or the whispers as she moved through the crowd. Sophia stood near a sculpture, champagne in hand, laughing at something a man in an expensive suit had said. She saw Elena approach, and her smile turned sharp. Elena, what a surprise. We need to talk. I'm busy. Make time.
Something in Elena's voice made Sophia's expression shift. She excused herself from the group and gestured toward a quiet corner. What do you want? Sophia asked once they were alone. I want you to stop. Stop what? The videos, the planted evidence, the media campaigns, all of it. Sophia sipped her champagne.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, you do. Marcus Chen, the deepfake video. The invoices Vivian's about to send me showing you paid him $50,000.
For the first time, Sophia's composure cracked. Vivian wouldn't. She did. And I have proof of everything. The earring, the leaked stories, the fabricated video. All of it traces back to you. Proof you can't use without destroying your own credibility. Try me. They stared at each other. The gallery hummed around them, laughter, conversation, the clink of glasses.
Why do you even care? Sophia asked finally. The marriage was fake, a transaction. You were paid to play house with a man you didn't even know. It was fake, Elena agreed. At first, but people change, situations change. Somewhere between the contract and now, it became real. You actually believe that. I know that. Sophia laughed. You poor deluded girl. You think Adrian loves you? He loves control, stability. You're just a convenient solution to his board problem.
Maybe I was, in the beginning, but not anymore. He'll never love you the way he loved Claire's mother. Good, because she was a liar and a thief who nearly destroyed him. I'd rather be loved as myself than compared to a ghost. Sophia's eyes flashed. You don't deserve him. Why? Because I'm not from the right family? Because I don't have money or connections? Because I actually work for a living? Because you're ordinary, unremarkable. A music teacher from Dorchester who got lucky. And you're a bitter woman who thinks she's owed something she never earned. Elena stepped closer. I didn't steal Adrian from you, Sophia. He was never yours to begin with. He should have been. But he wasn't, and destroying us won't change that. Sophia's hand tightened on her champagne glass. You think you've won, that you've beaten me. But even if that video gets debunked, even if Adrian keeps his company, you'll always wonder. Every time he's late. Every time he gets a phone call he doesn't explain. Every time you find something that doesn't quite add up. You'll remember that video, and you'll wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's truth in it. The words were designed to wound, and they did. Because Sophia was right about one thing. Doubt, once planted, grew roots. But Elena had learned something over the past 3 months. Doubt was just fear wearing a different mask, and she was done being afraid. You're right, Elena said. I might wonder sometimes, might have moments where old insecurities creep back in. But here's the difference between you and me. I'll talk to Adrian about it. I'll trust him to tell me the truth. I'll choose to believe in what we're building instead of tearing it down from the inside. How very noble. No. How very human. We're all scared of getting hurt, but some of us decide the risk is worth it anyway. Sophia drained her champagne, set the glass down on a nearby table with too much force. You really think this ends well for you? I think it ends. One way or another, and I'd rather fight for something real and lose than win by destroying people. Then you're a fool. Maybe, but I'm a fool who sleeps well at night. Elena turned to leave. Sophia's voice stopped her. Wait. Elena looked back. Sophia's expression had shifted, something vulnerable breaking through the perfect mask. Do you really love him, or are you just playing the long game for a better settlement? The question was so raw, so genuinely confused that Elena almost felt sorry for her. I really love him, she said. I didn't mean to, didn't plan for it. But somewhere between the fake marriage and the real life, I fell for a broken billionaire trying to be a good father. And yeah, it's terrifying. And yeah, it might not work out. But it's real. Sophia looked away. I don't know how to do that, the real part. Then learn, but not by destroying other people. It's too late. The video's already out there. Then help us stop it from spreading. Tell the truth about Marcus Chen. Give us the original files to prove it's fabricated. Why would I do that? Because deep down, you're not actually evil, just hurt. And there's a difference. For a long moment, Sophia said nothing. Then she pulled out her phone, typed something. Elena's phone buzzed. That's Marcus's contact information, Sophia said. And a recording of me authorizing the deepfake. It should be enough to prove Adrian's innocence. Elena stared at the message. Why? Because I'm tired too. Tired of hating you, tired of being the villain in someone else's love story. Sophia's smile was sad. For what it's worth, I hope you make it. Someone should. She walked away, leaving Elena standing alone in the gallery, surrounded by art and strangers, and the strange, hollow feeling of a battle won without victory. Elena called Adrian immediately. I've got it, she said when he answered. Proof the video's fake from Sophia herself. What? How? I'll explain later. Can you get your lawyers on this tonight? Yeah, I'll call them now. Adrian? Yeah? I love you. Silence. Then, I love you too. It was the first time either of them had said it out loud. The next 72 hours were chaos. Adrian's lawyers worked around the clock. The deepfake expert they hired analyzed the video and confirmed manipulation. Sophia's recording provided the smoking gun. Marcus Chen, facing potential fraud charges, cooperated fully. By Sunday, every major publication had retracted the story, issued corrections. Some even ran pieces about the dangers of deepfake technology and digital manipulation. The board met on Monday. Adrian presented everything: the timeline, the evidence, the expert testimony. But more than that, he presented his marriage. Elena sat beside him while he explained how a contract had become real, how desperation had turned into partnership, how love had grown in unexpected places. I won't apologize for how this started, Adrian told the 12 board members, but I'll defend what it's become. My wife is the reason I'm a better CEO, a better father, a better man. And if you can't see that, if you're too focused on optics to recognize substance, then maybe this isn't the company I want to lead anyway. The vote was unanimous. Adrian kept his position, with conditions, quarterly reviews, increased transparency, a commitment to ethical business practices. He agreed to everything. Walking out of that boardroom, Elena felt lighter than she had in months. We did it, she said. Adrian pulled her close, kissed her right there in the hallway where his colleagues could see. We did. But the real ending came 3 weeks later. December had turned Boston into a Christmas card. Lights on every street, snow dusting the common, the kind of cold that bit but felt clean. Elena stood in the mansion's music room, the same room where she'd first played piano for Adrian months ago, watching Claire practice. Her father sat nearby, offering gentle corrections. Adrian leaned against the doorframe, just watching. This was her life now. Not the mansion or the money or the fancy events. This. Family, music, Ordinary moments strung together into something extraordinary. "Elena?" Claire called. "Yeah, sweetheart? Will you play with me?" Elena sat beside her on the bench. "What do you want to play?" "The song you taught me. The pretty one." Claire de Lune. The same piece Adrian's late wife had loved, but it didn't feel like a ghost anymore, just music. They played together, Claire's small hands stumbling through the melody while Elena filled in the harmonies. Not perfect, full of mistakes. Beautiful, anyway. When they finished, Elena's father wiped his eyes. "That was lovely." "You're crying, Grandpa," Claire said. "Happy tears, kiddo, happy tears." That night, after Claire was in bed and Elena's father had been driven home, Elena and Adrian sat on the floor in front of the fireplace. Same spot where they'd drunk wine and played truth games months ago. Different people now. "Do you ever regret it?" Adrian asked. "Marrying me?" Elena considered the question. "I regret the circumstances. I regret that my father had to get sick for us to meet. I regret the lies I had to tell, but marrying you? No, I don't regret that. Even with everything Sophia put you through? Even then. Because it taught me something." "What's that?" "That trust isn't about never doubting. It's about choosing to believe anyway. About talking through the fear instead of running from it." She leaned against his shoulder. "You taught me that." "I'm pretty sure you taught me." "Then we taught each other." Adrian pulled a small box from his pocket. Velvet, clearly expensive. "What's that?" Elena asked. "Open it." Inside was a ring. Not the simple wedding band she wore now. That had been practical, chosen quickly, more symbol than statement. This was different. A sapphire surrounded by small diamonds. Vintage. Beautiful. "It was my grandmother's," Adrian said. "She wore it for 60 years. My grandfather gave it to her when they'd been married for 1 year. He said the first year was survival, figuring out how to live together. The second year was when you earned the right to celebrate." Elena's throat tightened. "We haven't been married a year yet." "We have if you count from the actual wedding, which I do, because despite how it started, you've been my wife, really my wife, since that day in October." He took the ring from the box, slid it onto her finger beside the wedding band. "I love you, Elena Ashford. Not because we signed papers, or because you saved my reputation, or because Claire adores you. I love you because you make me want to be brave, because you call me out when I'm being an ass, because you choose me every day even when I give you reasons not to." Elena was crying now. "I love you too, even when you're stubborn and closed off and terrible at asking for help. Especially then." "Especially then." They kissed, slow and sweet. No urgency, no desperation, just two people who'd found each other in the mess and decided to stay. When they finally pulled apart, Elena said, "I want to tear up the contract." "We already did, remember?" "No, I mean officially. I want to go to Harlan's office and burn it, ceremonially, so there's no question that this marriage is real." Adrian smiled. "That's the most dramatic thing you've ever suggested." "Is that a yes?" "That's definitely a yes." They burned the contract the next day in Harlan Vance's office fireplace, while he watched with an expression somewhere between amusement and resignation. "You two are insane," he said. "Probably," Elena agreed. The papers curled and blackened, turned to ash, every clause about settlements and terms and exit strategies disappearing into smoke. "For the record," Harlan said, "I thought this would fail spectacularly." "It almost did," Adrian said. "But it didn't." Harlan looked at Elena. "You're tougher than your mother was. Tougher than I gave you credit for." "Is that a compliment?" "As close as you'll get from me." Elena smiled. "Then I'll take it." Walking out of that office, Elena felt something shift. The last thread connecting her to the transactional beginning of their marriage finally severed. What remained was choice, daily, deliberate choice to love this man and build this life. Spring came to Boston like a promise. Elena's nonprofit had expanded to 3 locations. Her father's cancer remained in remission. Claire was thriving, making friends, excelling in school, playing piano like she'd been born to it. Sophia had moved to California, started over. Sent Elena a message 6 months after everything imploded. "I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're happy."
Elena had written back, "I am. I hope you find your own version of that." And she meant it, because holding on to anger would have poisoned what she'd built. Forgiveness wasn't about excusing what Sophia had done. It was about refusing to let that damage define her future. One Saturday in May, Elena woke to sun streaming through the bedroom windows and Adrian already awake, watching her. "Creepy," she mumbled. "You snore." "I do not. Just a little. It's cute." She threw a pillow at him. He caught it, laughing. Downstairs, Claire was making pancakes with Elena's father. The kitchen smelled like butter and vanilla. The radio played jazz. It was chaotic and loud and perfect. "Morning, Mom," Claire said when Elena appeared. Mom. Not Elena anymore. Just Mom. "Morning, sweetheart. Those look amazing." "Grandpa's teaching me the recipe. He says you can never make them right." Elena's father grinned. "She's a natural, unlike some people." They ate breakfast together at the kitchen island, made plans for the day, the aquarium, maybe, or the park if the weather held. Normal family things. Adrian's phone rang. He glanced at it, then silenced it. "Work?" Elena asked. "It can wait." That was new. The man who'd once lived at the office now prioritizing Saturday breakfast over business calls. After they cleaned up, Elena found Adrian in the music room. He was holding something she hadn't seen before, a guitar case. "What's that?" she asked. He opened it. Inside was a worn acoustic guitar, beautiful despite its age. "Bought it yesterday," he said. "Figured it was time." "To play again?" "To try." He sat down, guitar across his lap. His fingers found the strings hesitantly, played a few experimental chords. They sounded rusty, but real. Elena sat beside him on the couch, listened while he stumbled through what might have been a song once. Couldn't remember all the notes, made mistakes, laughed at himself. "I'm terrible," he said. "You're learning. There's a difference." "Will you teach me? The way you teach Claire? You want piano lessons from your wife? I want music lessons from the person I love." Elena's chest felt too full. "Yeah, I'll teach you." They spent the afternoon like that, Adrian fumbling through basic chords while Elena offered corrections. Claire wandered in eventually, adding piano accompaniment to her father's guitar. The sounds clashed more than harmonized, but nobody cared. That night, lying in bed, Adrian said, "Thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up. On me. On us. When it would have been easier to walk away." Elena rolled over to face him. "You're worth fighting for." "So are you." They fell asleep like that, tangled together. No space between them. And if Elena dreamed of the girl she used to be, the one teaching in Dorchester, writing the tea, struggling to pay bills, she didn't mourn her. That girl had been brave enough to make an impossible choice, strong enough to survive it, open enough to let it transform into something beautiful. Sometimes the life you didn't plan for turns out to be the one you needed all along. 6 months later, Elena stood in the backyard of the mansion watching the sun set over Boston. They were having a party. Nothing fancy, just friends and family celebrating Claire's 7th birthday. Her father played piano on the portable keyboard they'd set up. Kids ran around screaming. Adults talked and laughed and ate too much cake. Adrian appeared beside her, 2 glasses of wine in hand. "Hiding?" he asked. "Observing. That's what you said at our wedding." Elena smiled. "I wasn't wrong then either." They watched Claire lead a group of children in some elaborate game involving fairy wings and plastic swords. "She's happy," Adrian said. "Yeah. Because of you. Because of us." He kissed her temple. "I never thanked you." "For what?" "For saying yes, that day in Harlan's office. For being desperate enough or brave enough or crazy enough to marry a stranger. You thanked me by becoming someone worth marrying. Sentimental. True." Music drifted across the lawn. Laughter. The sound of children playing. Evening light turning everything golden. This was her life now. Not perfect. Not without scars. But real. Chosen. Fought for. Elena Ashford, formerly Holloway, formerly desperate, formerly alone, stood in a backyard she'd earned surrounded by people she loved and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. Not because nothing bad could happen,
But because whatever came next, she wouldn't face it alone. Adrian squeezed her hand. What are you thinking? That sometimes the worst decisions turn into the best ones. Marrying me was the worst decision? At the time? Absolutely. And now? Elena looked at him. At the man who'd been a stranger and became a partner, who'd been broken and learned to heal, who'd given her a family when she'd only asked for help. Now it's the best thing I ever did. They stood there as the sun set on Boston, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. Behind them, the party continued. Claire's laughter rang out clear and bright. Elena's father played something jazzy and complicated. Friends toasted to another year, another celebration, another moment of joy in a world that didn't always offer them. And Elena thought about the girl who'd stood outside the Vance estate 3 years ago, terrified and desperate and out of options. Who'd agreed to marry a man she didn't know to save the only family she had left? She'd saved her father, but in the process, she'd saved herself too. Found out she was braver than she thought, stronger than she believed, worthy of love she hadn't known to ask for. The contract marriage had been a lie, but the love that grew from it, that was the truest thing she'd ever known. And if the path there had been messy and complicated and full of mistakes, well, that was just life. Real, imperfect, human life. The kind worth fighting for, the kind worth staying for, the kind that made every risk, every doubt, every moment of fear worthwhile in the end. Elena leaned into Adrian's side, his arm warm around her shoulders, and watched the sun disappear below the Boston skyline. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new doubts, new reasons to question and worry and wonder if they were strong enough. But tonight they were just a family, flawed and scarred and beautifully, perfectly real. And that was enough, more than enough. It was everything.